the first offering.
This is
afternoon baseball on MLB Network
Outland Sports
is
here.
underway.
This is Patrick here, and basically I'm gonna be going through. See if I can lower these
first pick
volumes.
Hey, this is Mark DeRosa.
So basically, I'm gonna be going through the AHL hockey season. Just a little overview of the standings, how it ended, and what I think, and how I think it went, and what I think the teams ended. So I got the standings in my hand while we're obviously watching this ball game.
And a 1-0 pitch. 2-0.
So let's go through the standings here. So obviously the AHL season was canceled back in the end of March due to the coronavirus, and some of their players obviously will be assisting the NHL when they resume, as they'll need backup players if for injuries and stuff, as they have the play-in rounds and up until the final. So I'm going to just go quickly run through the divisions and who finished in what order, starting with the Atlantic and finishing with the Pacific. So
first pitch of the at-bat on its way. In there, strike one. And there are our umpires calling balls and strikes in this one, Mr. James Kingsley.
Dan, I know
Alright, so starting with the Atlantic, the order that finished, so it was the Providence Bruins, followed by the Hershey Bears, the Charlotte Checkers, Hartford Wolfpack, Springfield Thunderbirds, Wilkes-Barre Scranton Penguins, Lehigh Valley Phantoms, and the Sound Tigers, falling in last with only 53 points, and Providence finished up top on the top 5 in the league with 82 points. Moving to the North Division, which is also in the Eastern Conference, we got the Belleville Senators finishing in first, followed by the Rochester Americans, Utica Comets, Binghamton Devils, Syracuse Crunch, Laval Rockets, Toronto Marlies, surprisingly pretty low, and last is the Cleveland Monsters with only 55 points. Alright, and then going to the Central, we have the Milwaukee Admirals, who finished the top of the league with 90 points when the season was ended, followed by the Iowa Wild, Grand Rapids Griffins, Chicago Wolves, Rockford IceHogs, Texas Stars, San Antonio Rampage, which ceased to exist now because they're now the new Vegas team, and the Manitoba Moose, which of course Manitoba finished with 55 points as well. Now I don't know if you remember, Manitoba Moose, before this past year, I don't know if last year or not, but they recently came back into the AHL from being in a different league that they were in before. I don't remember if it might have been the ECHL or what, and then their attendance might have gone up, they bumped them up to the AHL again, but yeah, they were gone for a good 5 seasons, and then they kind of returned. And then lastly the Pacific Division, so finishing up top with the Tucson Roadrunners, Colorado Eagles, Stockton Heat, San Diego Gulls, Ontario Reign, Bakersfield Condors, and last place the San Jose Barracuda with only 49 points. So San Jose Barracuda finished last in the league. And first overall in the league, like I said, was the Milwaukee Admirals. So I'm just going to go through some other numbers here as well, in terms of power play and penalty killing, and which team had the most penalty minutes.
First delivery to him on the way.
So let's start with power play. And we'll do this we'll compare this league wide.
Hey, what a great pitch right there in a big situation to pull a string on that changeup. He knew that hitter was going to be super aggressive.
So, for example, you look at the team that had the most power play opportunities. It was the Charlotte Checkers with 220 opportunities, and they scored 52 goals out of those 220, which isn't the best. They were only at a 22% rating for the power play, and they did allow 15 shorthanded goals. Going to the bottom of the list, in terms of the league, a team
As a hitter,
like
for
example, let's see here.
In a double play situation, so making him
like the Rockford Ice Hogs had 254 power plays. They only scored 29 goals and they allowed 4 goals. So they only had 11%. But that wasn't the lowest. The Lehigh Valley Phantoms had the lowest with only 10%, scoring 24 goals on 226 power play opportunities. Alright, so let's now go to the overtime goals, league-wide. Okay. So the Springfield Thunderbirds, the Belleville Senators, led the league with each team scoring 7 overtime, or winning 7 overtimes. The team that won the least amount was the Bakersfield Condors and the Bridgeport Sound Tigers, only winning 1 out of 6 possibilities.
Don't know for sure, but I think he may have been taking there thinking his teammate on first.
And lastly, let's quickly check the penalty minutes.
In there,
so let's see.
Talk about challenging a guy. He offered up 2 in a row right
down
the
this
chute,
is pretty
and
impressive.
The batter didn't even flinch.
So the team that led the league in the AHL this past season with the most penalty minutes was the Milwaukee Admirals with 925 penalty minutes.
Off and the count runs full.
Which is pretty crazy. The next team under that only had 854, and that was the Providence Bruins, followed by a few other teams like Bridgeport, Cleveland, Ontario, and the Iowa Wild.
Here's the 3-2. Hit the other way out
so this is
right
interesting.
has a read on it.
Now let's quickly just go look at the overall standings. I just want to tell you what my opinions are
the Red Sox get their turn.
based on how these teams finished. So let me just go back to this. Alright, so Providence Bruins were the team that finished first in the Eastern Conference with 82 points, winning 38 out of the 62 games they played, losing 18 games in regulation and 3 in overtime, or 6 in overtime or shootout loss. Did I expect them to finish that high? Yes. Since they're a strong team, and so is their parent team, the Boston Bruins, they have a lot of good players in their system. Whereas you look at other teams, for example, like the San Jose Sharks, for example, they finished in the bottom 5 in the National Hockey League, and the San Jose Barracuda, their farm team in the American Hockey League, finished practically last as well in the AHL, winning only 21 out of the 55 games, with not even a 500 rating, obviously. So that wasn't a surprise at all either. Some teams in AHL that could be a surprise where they finished, teams like the Toronto Marlies ended up finishing 13th in the East out of the 16 teams in the East. Even the Bridgeport Sound Tigers, because I know they have a strong parent club as well, finished last in the East, only winning 23 out of the 63 games they played. And 63 is actually the top number that was the most played out of most teams in the AHL before the season was halted.
Then he took one back up the middle. He puts together so many hits and has such a great swing.
See if there's any other surprises. Bakersfield Condors, I mean, they're not.
That brings up the third baseman, Rafael
Oilers, alright.
Ready to deliver. Here's the first pitch.
I mean, I guess you could say I was surprised that Milwaukee ended up finishing number 1 in the league, winning a possible 41 games out of 63.
Bases are empty, 1 man out.
And managed to even have like one of the highest penalty minute totals,
1 ball, 1 strike,
which is funny. Usually a team with the most penalty minutes doesn't finish up top of the league.
That was right in the wheelhouse, and he
still
wasn't able to get good wood on it.
Let's see. Let's look at a couple more stats.
2-1.
So we're gonna look at what I'll do is I'll go to the AHL website while I'm on my phone, obviously.
He wanted that pitch right
and
there.
I'll look at we'll look at point leaders and stuff. Player stats for like league wide.
hit to first.
So we'll start with the top scorers.
And a nice job to stay with it
top goal scorers in the league.
Out of the inning.
Batting third, the shortstop.
Let's see.
Xander.
Top scorers, top goals.
So bases are empty here with 2 gone.
All right, so the first to lead with goals in the American Hockey League was Gary Mayhew. He plays for the Iowa Wild with 39 goals. Which isn't too bad. Obviously, the lower you go under his name, the scores would drop, and pretty much most of them are around the mid-20s. There's a guy that's numbered 9th on this list, Julian Gauthier. He played for the Checkers, registering 26 goals. If you go to the player with the most points,
Red Sox go down 1-2-3.
Once again, that's that. There's this guy from the Iowa Wild named Sam Anas. I might have pronounced that wrong. I'm not sure, but he registered 70 points total up until the league halt. So he was probably going to finish close to 100, if not in the 80s or 90s, which is pretty good for AHL. And obviously, the farm system for the Iowa Wild, the parent team, is the Minnesota Wild. So he's probably got a decent, bright future going for him. I'm looking through to see if I've seen these names I know from.
So here's how the Bo Sox are positioned.
Okay, Providence Bruins Jack Studnicka finished when the season halted 49 points.
The pitching staff's not going to want to pitch the righties in to pull in the left.
And that was in.
Go the other way to the left side.
Okay, yeah, 49 points in 60 games played, which isn't bad at all.
Fun to watch.
Let's see. Top goalies. Look at top
so the
goalies.
Base is empty here with 1 away.
All right, so the top goalie
Sean Rodriguez.
with the lowest goals allowed number was Dan Vladar of the Providence Bruins, only allowing 1.79 average goals. Right under him is 1.90, which is Igor Shesterkin of the Hartford Wolfpack, and he actually he went up and down, and right now obviously it's going to be with the Rangers because they're playing the Hurricanes in the first round, so I'm sure he'll be a backup, if not a starter, in a few of those games. We'll have to see how that goes. But his experience in NHL has definitely given him a boost in the AHL as well.
Wow, he really hit that ball well. Put a great swing on it with great extension, and it sailed right out of here.
Let's look at one more category here. Alright, so who led the league in shorthanded goals? That'd be Jack Studnicka, again, from the Providence Bruins, 7 shorthanded goals.
Into the box, Corey Dickerson, as he looks at a fastball that's in there for strike 1.
And then let me just look at, quickly, who led the league in penalty minutes. Trent Frederick of the Providence Bruins, 148 penalty minutes. So, yeah, these are just some stats of the NHL, sorry, of the AHL.
Back up the middle.
Kind of sucks to end it, but it'll be interesting to see, especially with some of these players that are going to be called up for the return of the National Hockey League season, how they'll play, especially in an environment, obviously, where there's not going to be fans to start, maybe even to finish. We'll have to see how this goes. So yeah, that was just a quick breakdown of the
and in steps Scott Kingery.
American Hockey League season. Just some feedback, some stats feedback, and yeah, this video will be up shortly. I do apologize for the lateness on the upload, and if you're looking forward to the NASCAR update that was supposed to come out a day or two ago, back on Tuesday. I'm sorry, not Tuesday. On Monday, that will be out most likely right around the time this video is published. If not later in the day. So I appreciate you watching, and feel free to comment, rate, and subscribe. And yeah, this is Patrick from Heartland Sports, and we'll see you again for another video.